Flooding is happening more places. As the climate changes, we can expect to see flooding touch more communities.
There's a human factor of building in the floodplain. There's a human factor of not mitigating runoff. And then you add on top of that the change in weather, and all of a sudden areas that have never ever seen anything like this are seeing really damaging flooding.
We have flooding that comes from frontal systems. We have flooding that comes from just your afternoon convection in the summer. We have flooding that comes from hurricanes and tropical events.
The data suggests that we're getting more intense, more frequent rainfalls. You can be in an urban environment where you can get street flooding because local sewers get overwhelmed. Flood protection is necessary in a lot of places.
Trying to understand flood protection from that standpoint is when do you need it, what's your risk, and the understanding of that risk is changing dramatically.
It becomes incumbent upon the public and our clients to understand that flooding is an everyday situation that we live with. The idea of understanding your risk and doing that sort of assessment through various different magnitudes of flooding, it's worthwhile for you to know what that risk is. And so if you can understand that a little bit better, you can protect yourself against the inevitable.
And that's what we figure out because we want people to be safe and we want property and enterprises to thrive.
What we're seeing is not only that we're developing in a more urban type of dense setting, but we're also seeing the expectations of people is increasing. And so previously, after a hurricane, it might be understood that you might not be able to approach your building for a few days. Now the expectation is, I need to be able to go to work the next day.
When you have a risk like this, it makes sense to evaluate how it affects your specific property and what you can do to reasonably protect yourself.
To me, flood protection is making sure that their businesses can either continue uninterrupted or bounce back in a very short order with minimal disruption.
If you've got a commercial building, if that parking lot is flooded all the time and there's the threat or risk that water comes in the front door, that's going to cut down on the business continuity right away. There's going to be loss of business as that relates to that.
I think some of the things that we don't always think about, we think about the structural cost, and we may even think about the product loss, but what about your reputation? There's a reputation cost that could be 10 times that. So really trying to say, how am I going to deal with this? And rationally thinking through it starts to tell you how much you ought to invest.
We're trying to help our clients battle the unknown. What we're trying to do is promote and help everyone understand about resilience and how flood protection is a resilient approach. And so it's not only just the protection of the asset itself, it's also we're saving that time, bringing the workers back to the office.
They're able to safely come back into the office that is intact. And it's a really good feeling to know that the company that you work for has taken the time to be prepared for emergencies. And for that business enterprise, as soon as the floodwaters recede, they're back in business with no loss of life, no damage to property, and able to start business immediately.
Property can be replaced, but people, you can't replace them.
We do what we do so that people can be protected.
Every client is unique and they've got something that's valuable to them, and we want to help them protect it. We're all in this together.